Hello, students. Dr. D here again. This is our second video. This is kind of a content video. This video will focus on really all the main crux of the material, how to navigate it, how to synthesize the information. So I'm going to share my screen here. And if you haven't already watched video one, the introductory video, then you need to do that first. Okay, here's our homepage as usual. This video should have been watched first. We're now down here in the course modules and you're watching the content video. We're going to jump into this how to be successful in this course document. I've already got this open. And I'll spend a decent amount of time talking about this. Now, I should say that for those of you that are seasoned learners, you're going to look at this once because it's going to be useful to you still in order to give you some ideas on how to synthesize the information, how to navigate the information. But then you're going to move on and use whatever you've been using, study skills you've learned, because you've mastered that part of college. For those of you that are a little bit newer, maybe freshmen or sophomores, this document you might refer to several times. So the first paragraph is just telling you that the course is broken up into these modules, and these modules all have the same sets pretty much of information. They all have chapter readings, PowerPoint slides, videos, and worksheets. Some of them have discussion posts, not all of them. They all have a quiz, and some have labs, not all of them. Okay. The part without the lab is basically 65%. That's the worksheets and quizzes, 24% for the lab, and then 11%, I believe, for the discussions. So here's the checklist that we're going to look through and give you an idea of what to do. So the first thing you should be doing, and I'll open up this stuff and show it to you, is you're going to review the module outline. That's embedded within the D2L content. I'll show you that. And you're going to open up the slides also and the actual worksheet, one of the assignments. And with those open, you'll be able to see what it is I want you to emphasize. Because once again, remember, this is an environmental science textbook. It lacks a lot of chemistry, okay? So the chemistry is contained in the slides and mostly the videos. And the slides also have information that are not in the chapters. And the chapters have information that are not in the slides and the videos. So it's essential for you to do good in the course, to use all three of those resources, synthesize the information, put it in your own words, and then answer the questions. So having the outline, the slides, and the worksheet open tells you what to emphasize, tells you which part of the chapters really you're not responsible for. So you can read them to increase your knowledge base, or you can skip them. That really is up to you. But as you read, you're going to want to highlight and take notes. Because the idea is when you go to take the quiz, you want to have an organized set of information where you can turn to, the answers within your handwritten notes and answer them quickly rather than trying to figure out, oh, where in the video did Dr. D say that? Or where in the slides, or was that in the chapter that I saw that? That will take a lot of time and that will affect your grade. Now, once you've done the chapters, you're going to study the PowerPoint slides, go back and kind of look over some of the definitions and concepts that are covered in detail. Sometimes there's just little outlines there, but other times there's additional information. Then you're ready to watch the videos. And the videos, as I mentioned, are going to have more of the chemistry, underlining some of the stuff you saw in your reading and in the slides. And at this point was where you would try to ask questions either through email, or the next bullet point 5 says, schedule a Zoom meeting with me if you need that. Quite frankly, email and just going through the material is usually sufficient, but I do occasionally have a Zoom session or two in a given semester. Now you're ready to fill out the worksheet. Now, I might have mentioned somewhere, either in a video or in your reading, that doing the discussion before you do the worksheet can be helpful because you might learn some things from the discussion. However, in the assignment schedule, I think I have the worksheet due before the discussion. But it doesn't really matter what order you do it in. If you do the discussion, that might help you formulate better. If you do the worksheet first, that might help you formulate better ideas in the discussion, better replies. If you do the discussion first, that might help you answer some of the stuff maybe you're not clear on in the worksheet as people reply to your comments. I think doing the worksheet is probably better first. Because you're really not, from the discussions, you're really not going to learn that much more about the topic. It's going to be about people's, kind of input, subjective opinions, things like that. And basically having like a real nice discussion on some of these important topics. But however you do it, that's up to you. These are 25 points each. We don't drop our lowest, but you can hand them in late. And they're broad questions. Now, the statement in red here is really important, and what precedes it is also important. While referring to the internet to help you further understanding of a topic is encouraged, grading is based on the material that's presented in the videos, the slides, and the chapters. So even if you give a correct answer, if it's not within my resources, you will not get credit. What that does is help me to maintain the integrity of the course so that people aren't using AI, ChatGPT, or Google to get their answers. Because just doing those things will not get you targeted on what I'm asking. There's lots of ways to answer some of these questions in the quizzes and the worksheets. I clearly have had students in the past using these types of approaches. I can just tell from the answers that they were talking way over their head. They were mentioning things that I never mentioned, okay? So stick to what's in the resources. When you submit these, as I've mentioned in other videos and in the D2L documentation, only Word and PDF are accepted. I'll pull up a worksheet so you can see that, and I'll pull up the outlines and all of this. But you can delete these big spaces that I had built in. Those are designed for visually impaired e-readers, okay? And most of the worksheets can be answered in, a few sentences. Most of the questions can be answered in a few sentences. Some of them are straightforward, just list 3 things, and that's all you have to do. Then you're going to participate in that discussion. These are 11 points each. Again, there's no missing of these. There's no dropping of these. I treat these like being in class and participating. If you miss class, you can't participate. Once these are closed, or don't ask me, they're not being reopened. Okay, you have to start a thread before you see anything from anyone else based on the prompt that I've given, and then you respond. As long as you respond to 2 and write an initial thread thoughtfully, you're going to get the full 11 points. Then you're ready to take the quiz. That's after you've done everything else. Even if there's any labs in the modules, the quiz is always scheduled last because the lab might help you answer some of the material in the quizzes. Even though they're meant to stand alone, they still supplement and augment. These cannot be submitted late. Okay, it's like taking a test in an on-the-ground class. You miss it, you miss it. Everything in this class is open book, open note, including the quizzes. So 85 minutes is plenty of time. Your lowest is dropped. Again, using the course resources to answer these questions, okay? Using the internet is considered cheating. Grading is based only on the presented material. Remember, I can Google things also. And if I find something that you've Googled exactly online, you can be brought up on charges of academic misconduct. So don't bother. This class is not difficult. The hardest part is time management. And because it's a lab, there's a lot of material. That's the hardest part. But navigating it, is tough. But then once you get the groove, the actual material is not that difficult. And then you're going to do your lab. These are 7 experiments, 20 points each. I have a whole separate video on labs, so I'll talk specifically about that. But notice that it's only your lowest completed lab that's dropped. That's because we only do 7 labs. If you were taking this on the ground, you'd do at least 9, if not 10 or 11. So I don't allow you to miss a lab. Labs are the same thing. We'll talk about the lab section, but everything is submitted as single document, Word or PDF. All due dates on your assignment schedule for everything, labs, worksheets, quizzes, all due by 11:59 p.m. Again, quizzes and discussions cannot be submitted late. Things that can be submitted late, there is a late policy you see here. If it's within 24 hours, I don't take anything off. Okay? Obviously, that doesn't apply to quizzes and discussions, okay? Early on in the semester, I have a bit of a grace period until you guys get comfortable with it. So if you hand it in 30 hours late, I'm probably not going to take off any points in the beginning of the semester. Later on, I will. Okay? Again, use your own words. Don't use quotes when you answer questions. Quotes are not appropriate. And last of all, this mainly applies to the lab, so I'll talk about the lab, but any graphing data needs to be done on a computer program and integrated into the document. And I'll talk about that during lab. Only one document is allowed to be submitted. That's the way Dropbox is set up. So that's how to be successful in this course. Now I want to go to the actual content here, show you a module. And here is module 1. Okay, so you got resources and lectures and assignments. But if you just click on module 1, you'll see here's the outline I'm talking about, this part up here. Okay, tells you what the outcomes are of this module, your learning goals kind of, which chapters you're responsible for. Module 1, there are 2 chapters to read. For module 2, there were 2 chapters to read. All the others have 1 chapter. There are some definitions. There's concepts. Concepts are just broader, really don't have a one sentence definition. They're a little bit more broad. So causes of environmental problems is not going to be 1 sentence. Tells you what the quiz covers. That's the outline I meant to have open as you read, along with the slides, okay, and the worksheet, which is going to be down under assignments here. There's module 1 worksheet, okay? So here now you see under resources and lectures, these are the chapters. So I have the individual chapter links within each module. But remember, you have a link to the entire textbook, both in the syllabus and also under course introduction. These are what the quizzes look like. Again, I mean, the chapters look like. Again, there might be information you're not really responsible for. So that's what the outline, slides, and worksheets are designed to tell you. Then you've got your slides, and they're in 2 formats, both PowerPoint and PDF. Here's an example of the slides. You can see in many ways there's kind of like an outline, but they also are going to have additional information. See here, it's just kind of outlining. This one had 2 chapters, so there's 2 there. But then I've got some definitions built in. Got some stuff on capital degradation here. Scientific method, and I refer you to figures in your reading, things like this. So this is going to be good for you to go through, obviously. And so there's the slides, and they're in 2 formats. You only have to open one, whichever's easier for you. And then you have your video, and I'm not going to open that, obviously. Now, there's always one video that has the main crux of the module material. Occasionally, you have additional videos. This one, there's a periodic table. That's because your book does not have a periodic table. This is going to be useful for you throughout the semester. And so it's going to give you some information on the periodic table. Here's our assignments. For the first module, you'll have to do that safety agreement. There's the introductory discussion. You can always get to all your discussions up here, all your quizzes up here, your Dropbox up here for submitting stuff. But for the first module, you have 2 discussions. The first one is not graded. It's just an opportunity to get to know me and your fellow students. I've already posted something here for you. Okay. And then here's your, and then your other discussions are listed there. You've got all your quizzes up there. So let's look at a worksheet. And I think I have one open here for you. Here's the first worksheet. These are the spaces I meant. You know, you can delete these if you want, but these are the 4 broad topical questions in all worksheets. Again, if you're not working in Word, you have to save it. If you're working in Pages, save it as a PDF. Okay, so there's Dropbox where all your submissions are going to be for your worksheets and your lab reports. Safety agreement, there's the first lab for the first module. Worksheets, there's worksheet 1. These will open up at certain dates. You've got all your quizzes here. Okay, if you click on that, it'll tell you something about the quiz, you know, what chapters it covers, but you got that information elsewhere. That's where all your quizzes are. All right. That is pretty much everything. The last thing I want to show you, once again, is the assignment schedule, which contains all your due dates and your late policy. So there's no excuse for missing anything. Got all of our due dates here. Okay. And I'm going to stop my share now. And the last thing I'm going to tell you now is you need to move on to that 3rd video, which is the lab video. So now you've watched the introductory video and the content video, which covers all the modules. And please now go and watch the last video.